everyone. This week on Unwind with me, we're going to be doing granny squares, which are very versatile square crochet items that are made in the round. They're usually used for blankets, but you can use them from anything from a reusable shopping bag to clothes. So let's get started. All right, to get started on a basic granny square, you're going to need quite a lot of acrylic yarn depending on how big you want to make it, the appropriate size hook, a needle, and something to use as a stitch marker. I sometimes use safety pins or keychain clips work pretty well too. All right. Oh, and as always, some scissors. To get started, I'm going to show you how to do a magic circle. It's another way of starting things that crochet in the round. So I have my yarn and I'm just going to wrap it and cross on two of my fingers so that they cross right here. And then I have my hook and I slip it between my fingers under the first piece of yarn and then over that second piece, and I'll catch that second piece and pull it up. Then I carefully take my fingers out and holding it so I don't lose it. So it should look a little something like this. This is kind of twisted so that I have both there. There's a lot of good picture tutorials about magic circles. You might take a couple looks at those. It takes a few times to get right. And then you'll chain 3 up to make your first double crochet. Yarn over into this big loop, make another double crochet, and then one more, so you have 3 on a big loop. And now you chain 3, yarn over, make 3 more, double crochet. So you have one side of your granny square, the corner, the second side, you chain 3 to make the second corner, and then do 3 double crochet to make the third wall, and then chain 3 to make another corner, and 3 double crochet to make the last wall. And it'll look something like this. Then you take this tail and you pull it tight, and it'll make almost no circle in the center. You will have to flip it over and weave that into that end to make sure it doesn't come out at all. It's not quite as secure as the way I showed you last week with just regular circles. So after you do that, you will chain 3 to make that last corner, and then you will slip stitch, so into the work, yarn over and pull through both of the loops so it makes a flat join stitch, and there you have a little square. Granny squares are in the round, like circles. So you will chain 3 to go up. Well, you'll chain 4 actually, because for this variation, you're not going to work any loops into an actual stitch. You're always working into blank spaces. So 3 up to make a stitch, 1 to jump over these, yarn over, go into the blank space that the corner is, and make 3 double crochet, so you can kind of already see how it's starting to build up. So then you chain 3 and make 3 double crochet, yarn over into the space, draw up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, so that you've made half of this wall in this corner. So you chain 1 to jump over these stitches, and you'll make 3 double crochets into half of the corner. You'll chain 3, 3 more double crochets. I find this is my go-to project to make blankets because it works up very quick. It's good on your muscle memory. They can be pretty when you change colors or use color changing yarn. And they're good for using up scraps of yarn. So I've chained 1 to jump, yarn over, I'll make 3 more, double crochets, kind of tighten them onto this side sometimes, chain 3, three more, chain 1 to jump, three more double crochet, chain 3, and then 2 double crochet, and I'll show you why. This is where I started my row. So I technically started in this corner and went across. So now that I'm ending this round, I have my chain 3 to make my corner, 2, and then because I have already chained 3 here, I've made this a stitch. So I'll count up to 3, and then I'll slip stitch these 2 together, and it comes together quite seamlessly. And there is your second round of a granny square. And now that we're starting with the gap right here, we chain 3 to make our height, and then we do 2 double crochet into the space so that we have our 3 together like that, chain 1 to jump, 3 double crochet into half of the corner, chain 3, and then 3 double crochet into the other half of the corner. Chain 1 to jump, and then 3 double crochet into this space. Chain 1 to jump, 3 double crochet. Chain 3 to make a corner, and then 3 double crochet. Chain 1 to jump, 3 double crochet into that space. Chain 1 to jump, 3 double crochet into half of the corner. Chain 3 to make a new corner, 3 double crochet, chain 1 to jump, 3 double crochet, chain 1 to jump. I am also fond of this technique because, especially this one right here, it's very forgiving. If I were to accidentally chain 2 to make a corner, or I only did 2 double crochet in a space where I should have done 3, it doesn't quite matter as much because I'm working into spaces. So as long as I have my spaces, I should be okay. So when I've come to the end of a row like this, where I started with a 3-stitch cluster, and I'm ending with a 3-stitch cluster, and I have a space to jump, I chain 1, and then slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 to complete my round. And for the most part, that's all you need to know for this granny square pattern. Everything is done in sets of 3s, and as long as you know how the 2 different ways to start and end rows, depending on what the last row was and how that played out for you, it's very simple, easy, and very forgiving. And as long as you have yarn, you can keep going this. It goes on forever. I have made entire blankets out of one really, really large granny square, and they've turned out very pretty. So to end a granny square, there's a few options for you. You can leave it like this and just cut the yarn, pull it through, and weave it in. Or you can also single stitch a border around it, which makes it quite nice, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I have finished the round that I want to end on, and then I chain 1 to bring it up, and then into every stitch, in the top of every stitch, I do 1 single crochet, even into the space stitches. Into the spaces you just do 1 because you just chained 1 to jump until you get to a corner. And then you do 1 single crochet in the first chain. In the second chain that made up the point of your corner, you're going to do 3 single crochet to maintain the point, and then 1 single crochet in that last one, and then 1 single crochet in every stitch across. And you'll do this all the way around. And as you can probably already see, it gives you a nice finished edge. And it also makes it easier to sew granny squares together if you'd like to sew several different colors together to make a particular pattern. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to weave in for this kind of a granny square. So I've already fastened off and cut my yarn. And just like in rows, there's 2 places that you need to weave in ends. This where you finished and where you started. So from where you started, you're going to flip it over. Sometimes you need to trim the yarn a little bit so it will go onto your needle. I'm going to thread the needle. And then you'll find kind of where it comes out. So for me, it comes out right under this stitch. So you're going to pull it tight. You're going to thread the needle in through these, between these stitches so you don't see it from the front. And pull through. And you'll go all of the way around a couple of times. This really locks in that magic circle, and as long as you weave in your ends well, it shouldn't give you any trouble. I tend to prefer the magic circle, and I've made blankets that start with the magic circle, and I wash them in the washer and they come out just fine. I've never had one unravel on me. So it can be just as secure as the way I showed you last week. So I've weaved in my starting, and I'll flip it over and weave in where I ended. Now this is a variegated color changing yarn, so I'm not going to take the lighter color and thread it through the darker color because then you could see it. So I'm going to make sure that I stay along these top stitches, try and get in the middle of them. So I'm going to try and stay in the color that I ended on. So I came down and tug to adjust to make sure it's not too tight. Then you slip, you go over one piece of yarn and back into where I came out. And then for granny squares, I go back past where I started, down the other side. Push and pull through, tug to adjust it back out, go over a piece of yarn, and back in toward the starting point. Tug to adjust. Trim off the extra yarn, and there you have it. One basic granny square.